Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so I'm pretty sure after reading last week's chapter, we all pretty much assumed that Lone was either going to be an elf being possessed by a demon, or a demon that's basically masquerading as an elf. But yeah, we get the confirmation in this chapter that Lone actually was just being possessed by a demon. And by the way, when we actually get to see what the demon actually looks like near the middle of the chapter, I don't know if it's just me, but he kind of looks like a mixture between Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter and Ryuk from Death Note. It just kind of like the design kind of looks like a mixture between the two of them. But anyway, it's not, like I said, it's not really surprising because we all pretty much predicted after reading last week's chapter that yeah, Lone was going to end up being a demon in some way. Now, what is surprising though is we find out exactly how this demon is actually tied into this whole elf invasion thing. Okay, so we don't get an actual name for this demon in the chapter. They just call him Demon. And actually, it's basically depending on which translation you read. I believe the manga stream translation actually calls him Devil or the Devil, while in another translation I read actually just calls him Demon. But anyway, we don't get a name for him. But what we do end up finding out is that, okay, so at the end of last week's chapter, when we found out, or we suspected that, Lo might be a demon, I figured, okay, well, this is probably just a demon who's taking advantage of the fact that these elves are being reincarnated. He took this chance since, elves, or since the demons are kind of tied to this forbidden magic that the elves are using to reincarnate themselves. I figured it was just some random demon who kind of like just jumped along for the ride, took over a woman's body, and then was just gonna like take this opportunity to like wreak some havoc. Wasn't gonna be really that important to the entire plot. Probably to be taken out pretty easily by Yuno, or with a struggle by Yuno or a Lich, and then we just move on with the rest of the plot. But yeah, no, I was completely wrong. What we end up finding out is that this devil, this demon, whatever you want to call him, yeah, he's the reason why the elves got massacred over 100 years ago, or whatever, or however long it's been since the elves were wiped out before the beginning of the series. So we end up finding out that it was actually this demon who actually told the humans exactly where the elves were and kind of helped them come up with the plan of wiping out the elves and stealing their mana from them. Which kind of answers a question I've always had about the original story about how the elves got wiped out. Because in the original story, from the elves' perspective, it was always claimed that the first Magic Emperor was the one who betrayed them and told the humans exactly where to find the elves. And I've always kind of felt like that couldn't be right because of the fact that, from what we know about the first Magic Emperor, he seemingly was actually a good guy. Like, unless it's going to be revealed later on, he actually was just secretly a dick. We've known so far into the series that basically the first Magic Emperor is actually a good guy. He actually wanted to bridge the gap between elves and humans. And because of that, there was always something I always, suspected that, alright, that can't be true. The first Magic Emperor wouldn't knowingly betray the elves like that. And the only other person, or only other human, who knew exactly where the elves were located was Techia, but she wouldn't have betrayed them because of the fact that A, she was marrying Lich and having this baby, and B, assumedly she was living with them at that point. So it's very unlikely that she would have been able to basically contact the humans to tell them exactly where the elves were located. My other thought was that maybe it actually was an elf that actually ended up betraying them and didn't think he would get wiped out in the process. Like, I kind of suspected that maybe Riya might have been behind it all this time, because I always kind of figured that there was something up with him and that he was kind of hiding something, especially since he's an elf who's known for lying and being able to discern lies. But no, it actually turns out that it was this random demon who actually betrayed the elves' locations to the human. And it seems like the reason why he did this was all for the purpose of creating the Grimoire of Despair, which we don't get confirmation on in this chapter, but assuming, like, based off of the line that he says earlier on in the chapter about the demon dwelling in the fifth Clover, I assume the Grimoire of Despair is actually Asta's Grimoire. Now, like I said, we don't get confirmation on this, but just based off of that line and the fact that Asta's Grimoire has the fifth leaf Clover, I'm assuming that basically it could be Asta's Grimoire at this point. So basically, this is how I think the actual sequence of events went down. This demon wanted to create a Grimoire of Despair, so he waited till the day the elves would be at their happiest, which would be the day that the Lich and Techia would begin married, because of the fact that it not only unified the elves and humans in a sense, because of the fact that Techia was a princess, she was marrying Lich, who was basically the leader of the elves at that point, and she was having his child. So it was kind of creating a sort of bond between the humans and the elves who had, kind of been at odds for years. You have basically on that day where it should have been their happiest moment because of the fact that the elves are celebrating their leader's marriage and sort of, they're seeing that there's hope for humans and elves to coexist with each other. He waited till that day to basically help the humans attack the elves to wipe them out and steal their mana from them, which will end up calling the elves extreme despair because of the fact that not only are they being attacked and betrayed by the humans that they just recently thought that they could actually come to coexist with, But on top of that, their loved ones, their family members are all being wiped out around them. You have their leader who was just in complete dismay. His wife had been killed right in front of him. And basically, it's just complete despair going around. So much despair that it forces Lich to actually activate the forbidden magic of basically reincarnating the elves and, in a sense, summoning the Demon King. And I'm assuming that because of the fact that Lich was feeling such anger and despair over the fact that his wife and unborn child were murdered right in front of him, his wedding day, which should have been the happiest day of his life, was ruined. And he felt that probably his best, only human friend had betrayed him. When he felt all that while activating the forbidden magic of basically having his friends being reincarnated and summoning the Demon King, those combination of things, those combination of emotions and events led to the corruption of his grimoire, which created the 5-leaf Clover grimoire, aka the Grimoire of Despair. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that's exactly the sequence of events or if that's exactly how everything played out. We'll probably end up finding out more information the longer we get to see this demon and find out more information about him and his backstory. And I'm also wondering exactly why he wanted to create the Grimoire of Despair, because seemingly from this chapter, it seemed like his only goal was to regain his body. That's the reason why he was pretending to be an elf this entire time, and the reason why he took the magic stone from Yuno. Now, this begs the question of whether or not he had his body back then when he helped the humans wipe out the elves, or if that was actually also part of his plan, and like this was just one long con of trying to regain his body after it was destroyed at some point before that. And basically he did all this, help the humans destroy the elves, create the Grimoire of Despair, lead all the way up into this elf war arc, all just so he can regain his body and gain his full power back. Now, what's really interesting, and this actually kind of ties into something I said earlier in the video, like I said, I always kind of figured that Riya was up to something, like Riya has some kind of like hidden knowledge that he wasn't telling everyone, and that he was kind of he was being low-key sneaky and like secretive. What we ended up finding out is that Riya apparently knew this entire time that the first Magic Emperor wasn't the one who betrayed him, which makes a lot of sense because, like I said, Riya is the master of lies and can discern all lies that are told to him. And basically the lie about the fact that the Magic Emperor was the one who told them the location of the elves was something that Riya was able to see past, and he knew ahead of time that the elves weren't betrayed by their only human friend. But here's the thing though, Riya kept it to himself because he wanted to see his friends again. He wanted to see Lich again. Literally, just like how Patry basically did everything he did, and he pretended to like humans. He pretended to work with humans in the Midnight Sun's Eye and White Knight's Eye and all that. Riya pretended not to know everything that was going on, pretended like to not know the fact that the first Magic Emperor wasn't the one who betrayed him, that humans aren't all inherently evil, because of the fact that he just wanted to see his friend Lich again, and he wanted to see all the other elves again. Basically, he did all this. He basically let all these things happen, let all these sequence of events happen, just so he could have his happy ending. And because of that, he got gutted. I mean, we don't see him die in this chapter. He's still kind of technically alive. In fact, we actually start the chapter with his monologue, end up finding out the fact that he knew about the first Magic Emperor not being the one who betrayed him. But yeah, it's pretty assumably he's going to end up dying, which kind of sucks because I like Riya, but I could take it or leave it. Anyway, now that Patry knows the full story, exactly what happens, he instantly goes on the offensive and tries to attack the demon. And this is when we end up finding out exactly what the demon's actual magic is, which basically he has reality warping word magic. So basically what he can do is that he could just say a word like, alright, Lich uses his light source to attack the demon in this chapter. He sends him right at him. And the demon just basically uses a word, I think he says reflect or something like that, and he sends the sword right back at Lich. Right back at Patry. Now, luckily was there to use his Mana Zone to basically dodge the attacks with Patry and Riya in his hands so that they could stay alive. And the only reason why he did that is because of the fact that Captain William Vengeance's body is the same body that Patry shares. So he doesn't want that to be damaged in any way. But anyway, back to the demon's magic power. It kind of reminds me of the Marvel character Wiccan, which, by the way, if you don't know who this character is, he's basically, in the Marvel comics, he's basically the son of the Scarlet Witch and Vision. Kinda. It's kind of a complicated story. I'm not gonna get into it. But basically, what his power is that he has the magic ability to change reality or like kind of warp reality on a small scale by just saying words 3 times. So he could basically say pizza, 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 and a pizza will show up right in front of his face. Something like that. That's kind of the same power that this devil seems to have in this chapter. Now, what I find really interesting is the fact that we don't actually see a grimoire with this demon, which is kind of interesting because up to this point, even with the elves when they're being reincarnated or when we see any type of person using magic abilities in the series, we always see a grimoire tied to them, but we don't see one with the devil. So it has me wondering if devils or demons actually need to use grimoires at all, because they are technically just pure magical beings, I guess, or if maybe we just haven't seen it, like maybe it's just off panel somewhere, like Tabata just didn't bother drawing the grimoire in this chapter, or maybe devils, like I said, are tied to magic, like because they're magical beings, so they can use some level of magic already. And the reason why he wanted to create a grimoire of despair is because of the fact that he wanted to gain that grimoire's abilities for himself. But anyway, Yuno tries to attack the demon. He tries to fight him, and he instantly realizes, just because of the fact that the demon can basically manipulate reality by just speaking words, that he doesn't really stand a chance alone. And just as he's thinking that, Asta and Mimosa come flying through the sky, or basically flying through a hole in the ceiling. Now, just as Mimosa and Asta are falling out of the hole in the ceiling, we see the demon look back at them, and he kind of smiles in like a sinister way. So it has me thinking again that, yeah, maybe Asta is somehow tied to this demon. Like, maybe it could either be that Asta's grimoire is in fact the grimoire of despair, like I said it was, or it could be the fact that he knows that Asta has the demon king, or at least the demon that has the ability of anti-magic dwelling inside of him, and maybe his goal is to somehow gain that demon's powers to kind of reawaken that demon, because we already know that the demon kind of does want to take. It's not like right now the demon's not like Naruto and Kuruma, where the two of them are kind of coexisting. It seems like the demon inside Asta does want to take control of Asta's body and basically use it for himself. So maybe that's actually this demon's plans to basically get Asta's body to be fully under the control of the demon that's inside of him. We don't know. We'll have to wait to see what happens in the next week's chapter and the future chapters to find out. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for the chapter. That's it for the review. I fucking loved this chapter. It was such a great... But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. That's it for the chapter review. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories on what's going to happen next. You know, something besides Narrow. Everyone loves to talk about Narrow. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter. That's it for the review. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later. Peace.